Man, we are rocking and rolling. Christmas is next week, guys. As you can tell, I'm rocking my Christmas sweater. I'm pumped. And before we get to Christmas, well, it's like Christmas is coming early in the sporting world because the college football playoff first round's here, and we're so excited. And what better way to kick off the first round of the college football playoff than with our guest picker from Snapback Sports. He's the owner and founder of Snapback Sports, Jack Settleman. We're going to have him on here in a little bit. We're pumped, we're ready, and we're fired up. Guys, welcome to Pigskin Frenzy on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joel Norris, and whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, Podbean, and Apple, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some college football coverage presented by me. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below, Spotify, Podbean, and Apple. All you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X on Instagram is at Pigskin_Frenzy, and the website's www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. Guys, we're fired up today. We're pumped. I've been in communication with Jack for a little bit to get this going, to be our first round guest picker for the CFP, and now we're here. So, ladies and gentlemen, he's the founder and owner of Snapback Sports. Guys, the one and only Jack Settleman, the infamous golf clap. Jack, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited. We leave for Norman at 7 a.m. tomorrow, flying through Orlando from Miami, where I am down, and I finally don't have to travel for a national championship. It's right in my backyard this year.
Absolutely. And you live in Miami, though. So that's pretty interesting. So what's that like?
It's great. The weather's great. You guys are all complaining about how it's 20 degrees and freezing and snowing. And I'm like, it was cold yesterday, but it was 60 degrees. So it is a nice, I put it in my journal this morning as one of my goals for the day, get outside. And I sat outside for like 45 minutes, and it makes it all worth it to be down here.
He heard Pigskin Frenzy on Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. It was very freezing. I'm not going to lie. It was really cold. We leave for Mississippi. I leave for Mississippi, I think, on Sunday. So I'm going down there to spend some time with my family and friends for Christmas. The weather there is going to be a total shift. And when I mean total shift, it's going to be like in the, 70s, maybe 60s. So it's going to be a total shift from here. But besides doing this, what's your life like outside of sports media?
That's a good question. My wife wishes it was spending more time with her, but I promise I have been home recently. I've been on a good stretch, only been gone for a couple of days over the last 2 weeks. And after OU, same thing. I'm home for about 2 weeks. So, normal stuff. Like, we got a baby on the way. I work out. I hang with, a few of the friends that I've made down here in Miami. The job doesn't stop, but when I'm not traveling, I'm at least a little bit more in my routine, which I enjoy. But I, equally am just excited to go to Norman tomorrow. So I think that's the real takeaway is I genuinely do love this. And so my personal life has just blended with my, real life and my work life into that. Like, it doesn't really ever feel like you're working. So, but outside of sports media was your question. Eat, work out, hang with family and friends, simple stuff.
Hey, it's simple stuff. A lot of the answers I've heard were like pickleball or golf. And,
I play some golf. Yeah, there's, all different. I wish I could play more basketball or soccer down here. Being active is always fun.
Yeah, man. And the thing is, you're really busy because it's your own sports media company. And we're going to get into that here in a little bit because I want to hear your story on that. You mentioned going to Norman. But it's funny because you're a Texas alum, if I'm not mistaken on that. So what's that like going into kind of hostile territory, going into Norman, but also at the same time, you're a Texas alum. Talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, I've never been. And, as a Ravens fan, I've been to Heinz Field. And as a Knicks fan, I've been to TD Garden and Philly. And most college fans, I would argue, I think if you're a diehard like I am, you've been to the opposing school, so you've seen it. Well, Texas and OU play neutral every year, so there's genuinely never been a chance or reason for me to go to Norman. So I'm really excited. I'm not showing up in Longhorn gear, but I will be rooting for the Tide. So I'm not really the type to make it a whole big deal. Like, hey, look at Bama, roll Tide, roll. Like, I'll cheer for Bama, and I'm excited to meet all our fans who are, OU fans. And I think what we've developed is just such a good relationship with our audience that we can talk shit, but then at the fam meetup at halftime, like we're gonna be dapping up and be like, "Yo, I know you're a Texas fan. I hate you," but at the same time, like it's all love. Which just goes to show, like everything you guys hear and see on the internet. When we get into real life, it's not really like that. But yeah, I'm excited because it will probably be the last time or one of the last times I ever get to go to Norman. So being able to see what I think is the biggest home game they've ever had, which is true for a lot of these teams. Like if you haven't hosted a home playoff game, you probably haven't played a super, super, super big game like this unless you're an SEC or Big Ten school. But remember, OU and Texas obviously just recently joined. So yeah, it and Friday night standalone game, it's gonna be fucking rocking in there. I'm excited.
Absolutely, 100%. Man, you're the owner and founder of Snapback Sports. We know a lot of what happened on the X, yesterday with the Barstool stuff and all that stuff. We're not gonna get into that, even though it's all love. Doesn't matter, guys. I'm not trying to instigate beats for throw the grenade, even though that is something that I could probably do on Pigskin Frenzy, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm not. But let's talk about the fun of this, because you started Snapback Sports. You're the founder and owner. You run your own, you're on your own team, your own company. Talk about that and what's that been like? And when did it start? Like, when did the idea come into your head? Let's do Snapback Sports. Let's do my own thing.
I guess I'm glad we're doing this pod because it gives me time to reflect and also recognize it started at Texas OU. So I guess it's fitting that I'm finally going to see OU. I had a business in college sophomore year where we made phone cases with athletes on the back, and we also advertised through social media. And I discovered, okay, if I could own the distribution and the media, that felt like a way more profitable thing than what I was doing. So I started building on Snap. It originated on Snapchat, hence like part of the name of Snapback. But the first post was at Texas OU, and that's where I started to build the audience. And so, 8 years later, I guess 8+ years later, it's just developed into something, beyond my wildest dreams. We got 10 full-time people. We got 1 million contracted people. We got all access to, just this year alone, Oregon, Texas Tech, BYU. I mean, we're doing cool stuff like going to Montana State, South Dakota State. So it's just been like an unbelievable journey, and I'm so grateful and thankful for it. The work has been put in. I obviously don't want people to think I got lucky, although I am a big believer that a lot of this stuff is due to luck. You got to expand your luck service area. The trickiest part, I would say, is most people who are building content, maybe they're not entrepreneurial. I was always entrepreneurial, and I did content because I saw that as the path to get to what I wanted to do, which was either talk about sports or build something in sports. And so I think that's what's kind of helped us go along, is I've always had that entrepreneurial and business mind. And that all stems back from literally day one of my life. Our family business was selling beer, and we sold to the Ravens and Orioles. So I've watched my mom cheer for the Ravens because it impacts the bottom line, and then watch my dad just be a fan, right? And so I think that's the biggest misconception around sports fans is like, oh, I want to work in sports. Well, maybe you just want to be a big ass sports fan, right? If you want to work in sports, you want the business side of it. You got to love the business side of it. Unless you're a talent or a content creator, then a really good talent or content creator who's not business minded, they go work with someone who is, and you create a little super team there. So it's been fun. It's been challenging. It's been learnings all about. It's obviously high stress, but I really just do fucking love it. And it's been cool to see the people I've met. And I think the one thing that I'm most grateful for is I love sports so much, and I love the passion that's in sports and the emotion. And so that's led me to more in-person stuff. And that's where the magic truly happens. I'm sorry, and no offense to the talking heads on TV, but no, like there's no magic in debating who the best quarterback is or how much the NBA Cup matters. Like, go to Vegas and go talk to the people who are at the NBA Cup. Memories for life. Even Spurs fans, you saw Wemby play you got to spend that time with your aunt, uncle, brother, cousin, best friend, whoever it may be, on a date. Memories for life. And like, that's what sports are about. And thankfully, Snapback Sports has been able to carve out a lane that highlights what sports are about and do what sports are about. Which in today's day and age, like, you could go in a completely different way. There's way easier ways to get viewership and clicks and monetize. And like, we want to stick to what makes us, excited and authentic and happy to make on a day-to-day basis.
Right. And a lot of these like content creators are originally fans, right? So they're fans of sports and they love doing it. It's like you got to love to do this. So I'm kind of glad you told me that story a lot, because there's a lot of people who are just there like, okay, I'm just here to, it's just a job. But it's like, man, you got to love to do this. Like for me, that's why I do Pigskin Frenzy. That's why I nicknamed myself the Prodigy of College Football. I love college football. I love doing this, man. So I'm glad you told me your story. It's awesome, dude. Let's focus on college football a little bit because it's very interesting. And this could probably be a good discussion. Take up our time because it kind of leads into our preview and predictions. Do you think the committee got it right? The whole playoff bracket, in your eyes, do you think they got it right? I see the smile on your face a little bit. So it makes you start thinking a little bit.
No, it makes me start thinking because, as natural to sports media and this whole conversation, when was that a conversation? 2 weeks ago? We've moved so far past that. It's like I almost forget what the talking points and who should have been in and,
Right.
who shouldn't have been in. People are, I feel like, already done debating who should have won the Heisman, and that was just on Saturday. Do I think the committee got it right? I think they definitely got it right when it came to Miami, Notre Dame. Now, I'm not someone like Josh Pate who was like head-to-head should be 10x the value of any other factor. I just think Notre Dame didn't have a resume that was worlds ahead of Miami. So the fact that they were close and they played and they lost to Miami, okay, Miami should be in. I don't subscribe to this idea that Alabama needed to be in the playoff and they shouldn't be punished. Let's make all the games matter. Let's just make them matter. Like Texas played Ohio State, that mattered. And Bama, I get the sentiment. I'm not disagreeing with that. But it was very clear to me that BYU and Alabama did not offer an opportunity to go win the college football playoff from those games, and they kicked BYU for it. So why can't they kick out Alabama? As opposed to, like, I actually would have loved to see Notre Dame and Miami both in because I both think they're bigger threats to win. Now, you do have to take into consideration, like, it's not all about power ratings and eye tests. Like some of it is just how it played out on the field, right? And Alabama won those games and Notre Dame didn't. And, Texas, like I was obviously thought Texas had a really good case to be in. They had 3 top 15 wins, the most in the country. And should they schedule Ohio State going forward? Probably not. It's a whole different conversation, but they lost 3 games. So like, do I get why they're out? Yeah. And the committee, like, did they get it right? They're just making shit up. So stop banking on them to like, if you won, did they get it right? Go back to the computer system, which is where we've strayed from, right? We used to literally use a computer and that was what it was based off of. So if you're just leaving up to 11 people or however many doofuses are in that room, then you're never going to get it right because it's all opinionated.
Well, that was a mic drop moment there, man. I mean, let's hope that Hunter Gurchek doesn't hear this, but he probably does need to hear it in a way. I mean, we all teased and poked fun at the committee at some point, right? So, and I agree with you, man. I mean, I didn't have Bama in my playoff. I honestly, after that SEC title game, I was like, I don't see how they get in. Yeah. I'm always of the component, and this is probably interesting. I don't know if you've heard me say this or not. A 3-loss non-conference champion shouldn't be in. I've always said that.
The argument is you're but you're punishing them for not playing in the game. Well, guess what? There's also a reward. That was the argument that I said too, because there were Texas inauthentic Texas fans who were like, Texas got punished for Ohio State, and I'm like, yes, but like if Texas had beaten Ohio State, our resume, we would have been a fucking 1 seed, right? Yeah. Even with 2 losses, because we would have had by far the best winning resume. And that's obviously exaggeration. But it was clear to me that Alabama is not one of the best teams in the country. and they've shown plenty of that. And just because maybe they got Georgia on a bad week earlier in the season and they just get to hold on to that, we literally watched them play Georgia, updated, and now we got to watch 3 weeks later they're playing Oklahoma, which I don't want to, here's a teaser. We're going to get to that. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. And the thing is, I think they're going by resume alone with Alabama because of how great their late September all the way towards our, late October was. Even though in early October, or late October rather, that is when the wheel started to fall off with South Carolina. Then, okay, they beat LSU, but it's like they didn't really look good against LSU, and LSU's turns out to be not really all that good. And then then he lost to Oklahoma, and then so forth, so on. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I had Notre Dame in, I had Bama out. I really wish, and this is a whole other conversation, I really wish Vanderbilt would have gotten in. I only because of the story behind it, and they had only 2 losses. So
yeah, I get the Vandy thing. For me, who they beat, right? And I know we're gonna say they won at Tennessee, who was ranked at the time, and they beat Missouri, who was ranked at the time. But you lost to Texas and Bama; those were your 2 big games. If you can't win one of them, and that's why, and you know what? That's why Notre Dame's out, right? Notre Dame just bludgeoned everyone, but in the 2 big games, they lost, right? So I didn't mind Vandy being out because, guys, we do a 12-team playoff. That's just how it is. If they're 16, they'd probably be in. But everyone told me 4 would be enough. Well, then we started fighting about 4 versus 5. Okay. Well, then we go to 12. Now we're fighting 12 versus 13. Like, at what point do we just accept, let's get back to requiring perfection if you want to go play in the playoff? It's what they do in the NFL. They say, control your own destiny. Right. Win all the fucking games. That is go win all the games. And that's why I can't be upset that Texas is out. We lost the games, right? Yeah. Like, you lose the games and you don't get to play in the playoff. It's okay.
We mentioned Notre Dame. I see. I keep coming up with follow-up questions, man. You mentioned Notre Dame. How do you feel about them opting out of because their game was going to be the Pop-Tart Bowl, right?
Yeah.
And then Georgia Tech got that game. How do you feel about them opting out? I already mentioned. I don't know if you saw my take on it. I already said that. Yeah, it's going to be the end of bowl games. That's what I think. I think that's just if you're a playoff contending team, if you don't make it at the very end, and then they just opt out, I think that's effectively going to kill bowl games. That's just my take on it. Long term, at least. Long term.
The reality is that bowl games, because the playoff is 12 teams and they play for 8, 10, 11 games, they've taken the big bowls, right?
Right. The New Year's Six,
Right. They've taken the New Year's Six away and the Rose Bowl, and so like they've already set a line for what games matter. And once they set that line, the reality is the new bowl games, like this new line, so below the line, right?
Yeah.
The new below the line bowl games are for fans of those teams, college football sickos like us, and degenerates, right? and if we're being completely honest, they're just not for the public, right? Like, my parents aren't just going to tune into the Citrus Bowl, right? Because Texas and Michigan are playing anymore, because they know it's not as important. And so for that reason, I don't think bowl games die, because I'm going to watch, if Arch Manning sits out the Citrus Bowl or plays in the Citrus Bowl, I'm still going to watch the game because it's bonus Texas football. And whatever, it's 3 hours on a Saturday or whatever day we're playing. I don't even know. But at the same time, I also don't need to schedule my life around it. I do feel bad. So I don't think it will end the bowls. What I do think it does is it puts bowl sponsors, bowl event runners, ESPN, who has the right to every single bowl, puts them in a very tricky spot, because I would have to imagine tune-in is going to be way, way down across the entire landscape, because you've got opt-outs. Players are opting out 10 minutes before the game and coming out dressed in street clothes. So I think from a business side, but from a fandom side, yeah, maybe I don't want to travel for the Citrus Bowl, but I don't know. I never was thinking about going to non-New Year's Six Bowl before. It's really for the people who are locally in the area. And if you're in Orlando and there's a Camping World game between SMU and I don't know, fucking Jacksonville State, if the quarterback opts out, is that really what was making you, go or not go? No, you're going with your family or a friend. And so I don't think it's going to end bowl games. Casey has a take that, or he likes the take. I forget who came up with the take that bowl games should just be the week 0 or week 1 game for next year. So like imagine if it auto scheduled Michigan, Texas next year, which obviously you would have to think through a million different things there, but that could be cool. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think it ends it, but I will admit I'm definitely watching less bowl games than I used to when I was a kid. So there's some truth to that.
And it's kind of sad.
It's
As a traditionalist, it's a little bit sad.
But also, is it fair to say that we act like we love those things, but it's really just a lot of the times nostalgia, right? Like
that's true.
I don't, was I really just sitting around all day? Don't get me twisted. On New Year's, yes. On New Year's Eve, yes. On like a Saturday during winter break, yes. But like the Tuesday game, once again, Jacksonville State versus UCF, I would throw it on if it was convenient or if I was bored, but I don't want to act like I watch 60 plus bowl games every single year, right? Just because they were a bowl game. So yeah. I think there's a little bit of lack of truth there from people who claim that they tuned into every bowl game for the first 50 years of their life, unless they're a degenerate or a college football sicko, which once again, we are those people, and those people exist.
Yeah, absolutely. We're psychotic about the sport. Last question before we move on into our preview and predictions. To me, and I don't get this, a lot of people were just clamoring, at least in the 14 playoff, just clamoring, man, we need Group of 5 representation in this. Mm-hmm. Now I hear a lot of people saying, you know what? Get rid of them. So where is your stance on that? I don't understand that take, if that makes sense. Like, I don't get why
Which take? Get rid of them?
Yeah, because they're so clamoring for them now to begin with, and now they're like, you know what, they shouldn't even be in. So I don't understand why people just keep flip-flopping.
Everyone overreacts to year by year. Now, a good overreaction was Boise State, like G5, they obviously deserve to be in. They probably might have been in regardless of G5 inclusion or not. They were just a top 12 team last year, but they shouldn't jump to the 4 seed. So they overreacted to that misplacement. Good decision. This is just a very unique year. And maybe you could argue with NIL that there's going to be way more parity in college football and less powerhouses and all that. And so maybe you do run into a situation where there's really teams at 12, 13, 14, 15 who have a really good claim in. Because, by the way, from 16 down, they got no claim to be in, right? Like, Iowa doesn't need to be in. USC doesn't need to be in. Like, those Michigan, who was like 17 for half the season, doesn't need to be in. We just got a really unique year, and then we got funky with the ACC, and I just think we're in year 2 of the 12 team. Let's just see a couple more years and see how it plays out, because quite frankly, if Boise was the 12 last year and they were the only G5 inclusion because the ACC did the right thing and won their conference championship and put a team in, although Clemson and SMU did make it sketchy, no one would complain, right? But it's just it happened to be a weird year. So I don't think we need to kick I think the G5 should be in. It's fun. It's college football. And I know we're going pro and more professional, and I know we're going to get there, and they will kick the G5s out. Like, we will get to a place where we go super conference, middle of the pack conference, FCS, and split it all up, and they'll all play their playoffs, and it'll be kind of like English football, where you got the Premier League and you got, the English League One and all that. But we're not there yet. So put the fucking G5s in. Let the JMU and Tulane fans have the weekends of their lives, the last 3 weeks, the media talking about them, having fun on Twitter, talking with friends about our JMU Dukes are playing in a playoff game. Like, who would have ever thought? Like, keep that in. Keep that shit in. Why would we want that out?
No. And I think they've sounds weird to say it. Like, yeah, Joel, did they really earn it though? But at the same time, they won their conference. They worked hard, put them in, right? I'm in that stance. But at the same time, I do get the argument of, okay, resumes and all that. Like, okay, yeah, they didn't win a power four game. Of course they didn't. But it's still, they try to work hard to, get in. So, I mean, it's a part of the rules right now. Follow the rules, right? So get them in. So that leads us into our preview and predictions. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. So James Madison and Oregon up first for our CFP first round preview and predictions. Oregon's a 21.5. It went down 21-point favorite in this game. What's your analysis on this game, and who do you got?
Yeah. My analysis is, similar to how JMU didn't play many Power 5 opponents and they didn't win any. I didn't watch a ton of JMU. I just watched their conference championship game. And my very quick takeaways were defense can get after it. Offense is going to have to run the ball and try to run the ball because they can't throw the ball. And I just fear when you face a complete team and a high-level team like Oregon, what's the first thing Dan Lanning's going to do? Beat us through the air. And even if he doesn't threaten that, what happens if you fall behind? You're pretty much done and out of it. So I think we're going to see a lot of running. I think that JMU is going to, can limit Oregon, at least contain them for a little maybe. But I've got Oregon 31, JMU 13 in this ball game.
Absolutely, that's good. That's a good score. I think my score is pretty similar. So James Madison, you got to protect the football. I mean, 2 turnovers versus Troy. I know Troy didn't, capitalize on those turnovers. Oregon will. So it's like you just do your best to protect the ball, but establish the running game. Oregon's 20th in rushing defense in the sport, and then pass the ball effectively. I mean, you didn't really pass the ball effectively against Troy at all. You're going to have to figure out a way to make it not one-dimensional against this Oregon Ducks team. And then if you're Oregon, obviously force turnovers. You snag 2 of them against Washington. Slow their running game down. I mean, JMU is obviously they're a solid running team. They're 5th in rushing offense. I would not be surprised if JMU did run the ball a little bit on them, a little bit at least. And then Oregon's got to win the line of scrimmage battle. I think it's going to come down to who's more tough, who's more physical. I get it. JMU, they are, like I said, great rushing offense. I think they're going to make them one-dimensional. Who do I got winning? I think Oregon wins. I think they cover. It's going to be more than 21. I mean, I'm going to go with the score. I'm going to change it because I had a similar score to you in your head. I'm going to go 35-7.
It's fair by me. I like the under. I like the under is the takeaway.
Yeah, I like 35-7. I think Oregon wins 35-7. I think Oregon's going to run away with it. And it's nothing against JMU. It's nothing against, and a lot of people are going to say, you just said the G5 should be in. Yeah, I think they should be in. But at the same time, man, I mean, Oregon's a better football team. I mean, let's just be honest. 35-7, Oregon wins it. And they do more than cover, I believe. So, and they go on to play Texas Tech, which can't wait to preview and predict that one if they do win that one. So, Tulane and Ole Miss. Very interesting game there. Ole Miss is 17.5-point favorite. Ole Miss defeated Tulane 45-10 on September 20th in week 4. Who do you have winning this game? And what's your analysis? Also, a bonus question for that. Do you think Ole Miss is going to come in, if you do pick Ole Miss, I don't know who you are, do you think that they're going to be mentally right for this game?
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, there's a lot going on, but at the end of the day, these guys they've had so much time to process and throw that out, and then now they're prepping, right? Like, I would say Ole Miss probably benefits the most from this long break between the end of the season and, playing in the playoff game versus some like Texas Tech feels like they're on fire. And they probably just want to be back out there, staying in routine. They're going to have over a month off. That's a lot for college kids to kind of handle. So I do think they'll come out ready to go. I was actually at this game, ironically, in week 4. We were at the Ole Miss Tulane game. Tulane couldn't do anything. Yep. And I expect them to have a significantly better game plan. And I think that it leans in their direction in terms of the rematch. Like, I don't think Ole Miss was challenged. I don't think they got their best punch. I think that Ole Miss is a pretty good football team, but they're not one of the best in the country. I think Jake Retzlaff is at least has played in against competition like this prior, right? It's not like JMU where they're going to be like, oh shit, I didn't realize how fast these guys are, right? Like he
Right.
knows. He's obviously also pretty limited through the air, but it felt like the Ole Miss loss actually set them on a path to be like, all right, if we want to get back to the playoff or get into the playoff rather, we got to like figure this out ASAP. And they feel like they're playing much better football. So I think it's going to be way closer than it was. So I've got Ole Miss by 2 touchdowns, and I think again it'll be more on that low scoring because Tulane will want to run the ball. Trinidad and Chambliss and that rushing attack will want to continue to run the ball. Without Lane Kiffin, that's probably where you lose your offensive firepower, right? But you also lose a little bit of confidence and swagger. And so I think Tulane will keep it way closer this time around.
Yeah, and they cover. So 14 points, you would say, if they cover.
Yeah.
This was a pigskin frenzy game in week 4. I remember because I said, hey, Ole Miss is going to, Tulane's going to give them their best game. They're going to cover and all that. And I was way off. I picked Ole Miss to win, though, luckily. So Tulane's keys are simple. Number one, forced turnovers. He snagged 5 of them versus North Texas. Obviously, I think you got to try to figure out a way to get, turn the ball, force some turnovers, make Ole Miss turn the ball over. Establish the running game. They ran the ball okay against Ole Miss last time they played. So, 178 rushing yards versus Ole Miss. So, do something on par of that. And then I think also at the same time, Jake Retzlaff has to have a breakout game. Has to play a little bit better through the air as well. And just, like you said, do more, right? So just do a little bit more. For Ole Miss, establish the running game, obviously, with Quan Lacey. Tulane's got the 30th rushing defense in the sport. Slow down their rushing, their running game as well. I think if because that kind of killed Ole Miss last game, like we said. So just slow the running game down. And then, obviously, just be tough. I'm going to keep saying this. Just win up front. Win in the trenches. Be the more experienced team up front in the trenches. So, who do I got winning? I got Ole Miss. I think it's going to be – I will say this. I will agree. I think they will cover. I think it's going to be about 28-14. I will say that's the score.
I'm right around that score, too.
Yeah, Ole Miss 28, Tulane 14. I think that Ole Miss will be a little bit challenged at first, if that makes sense. But then Ole Miss will end up running away with it and winning the game. And then John Summerall will end up going to Florida, and can't wait to see how that's going to work out, man. I think that they made a really good hire there. That's just my opinion. I don't know what you think on that, but I think they made a really good hire with him.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, Alabama and Oklahoma, your game. So 2 more left, and we'll wrap up. But Alabama, Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a 1.5-point favorite. Not a shock. It's in Norman, and they're playing off the result from last game. You're going there. It's probably going to be a hostile crowd. I don't know was the weather going to be cold there?
Not too crazy, like in the 40s maybe, especially at night. So I don't think Bama or OU really benefits majorly from that. Maybe it leans a little towards Oklahoma, but normal football weather and not like snowy, icy football weather.
Oh, 100%, man. Oklahoma defeated Alabama 23-21 on November 15th. Very interesting game. They're playing a game that, the last time they played OU in Norman, the last time they played Oklahoma in general, they've lost both times, so twice. Going to be very interesting to see what happens in this game. 1.5-point favorite. It's the wrong team favored. What's your analysis, and who do you got?
Yeah, anyone who doesn't just see the score posted on the upset graphic knows that Bama really moved the ball well in the game.
Right.
They probably dominated the game by most metrics, but Oklahoma made amazing plays on defense, and that's what they do, right? I think that's important for people to understand. Like, that is what Oklahoma does. We're to expect them to force turnovers and Ty Simpson to feel pressure and make mistakes. So I'm not saying it can't happen again. Oklahoma's kind of being picked as a potential dark horse because of that defense and what we saw out of Mateer earlier in the season. And Bama stumbled into the playoff. So I get why people are siding with OU. I actually had them in my contenders, or I thought they were contenders and the Mateer got hurt, and I just didn't really think they still were. Now, it's been 2 months since he had that injury and surgery. So like maybe we see early Mateer, but I think Bama gets them before they get rolling. So I'm going to go Bama close, 24-23, and I think they're favored for a reason, which is they're the better football team, even with how both teams have looked down the stretch.
Right. 100%. OU 1.5-point favorite. It's going to be very tough, man. I think it's going to be it's going to be close. Let me just put it that way. And I've been kind of going back and forth with this game, honestly. Like, see, my hands are getting jittery, man. I was going back and forth with this, dude. I was thinking to myself, okay, do I go with OU or I go with Bama? So here's the problem for me with both teams. They've turned the ball over tremendously. Bama has 3 turnovers at Oklahoma last game, but they've also turned 6 turnovers in the last 4 games.
It's bad
That's
football.
That's a lot. That's like you said,
it's losing football. That's really losing football.
It's rough football. You turn the ball over twice against Eastern Illinois, man. I mean, that to me, that's like, okay, you're scaring me. Bama hadn't played their best football at all. We need to see October Alabama, like late September, early October Bama, where you create explosive plays and you win in the trenches. I think that's the key there. You're not going to run the football. We've seen that. They run the football a little bit with Jam Miller, yeah, but it's not exceptional like we've seen in Bama's past, right? For OU, protect the football. I mean, you had 3 turnovers versus LSU. Mateer's got to play a little bit better. I know it sucks because his hand's still sore. We saw the report yesterday. Minimize the penalties, and then obviously do what you did against Bama last time. Force turnovers, create those exciting plays on defense, and also just be the more physical team. I think that's what's going to come down to. Who do I have winning? I'm gonna go with you, man. I'm gonna go with you. I'm nervous, very nervous. This is probably the most nervous I've been about a game, honestly, at least in the first round of the playoff. I'm gonna go with Bama. I think they win. I think it's gonna be also around the same score. I'll say 28-24 around there, maybe 4-point win for Bama. Very close. They do just enough to win the game. So 28-24, Bama gets the win. I'm nervous. Can I be real on that? I'm nervous about this game, dude. I might get this one wrong, and I would not be surprised if OU wins. So just to clarify for everybody, if OU wins,
I'm excited to see your pick for the next game if you're not nervous, because I think that one is just as much of a interesting pick. So I think we got to move there because I'm eager to hear what does Joel think is going to happen in Miami and A&M.
And with that being said, let's do that. Miami at A&M. First round game in College Station, 3.5-point favorite. I am in the belief of they just lost that Texas game because they just wanted the first round home. They just wanted the first round home playoff game. That's my joke. Anyway,
okay.
3.5-point favorite A&M. What's your analysis on this game? Is the wrong team favored? I'm curious.
I don't think the wrong team is favored because remember the only things that go into point spreads is not the rosters. It is the environment, the home and away, the coaching. And I think those are the places where A&M has the edge. I know this seems crazy. I trust Carson Beck more than I trust Marcel Reed. And I know that for Miami to make a run, Carson Beck needs to be perfect and can't have the 2 interception games where he just throws the ball to the other team for no reason. And odds are he will do that at some point. But I've also seen Carson Beck stretches where he doesn't do that, which is why they're one of the teams to me that can go and win the national title. That's not what I see in A&M. But for one game on Saturday night, that crowd, and then the coaching edge with Mike Elko over Mario Cristobal. Like Cristobal would just do like brain dead things at random times. And it's just like, where did you even come up with that? I think if these rosters just played out and they had neutral coaches, right? Like the coaching was neutral and they played on a neutral field, I would pick Miami the majority of the time. So for those reasons, I still have Miami winning. I think they have best trench play on if you combine O-line, D-line in the country. And then they've got a veteran quarterback who's not going to be spooked by that noise. They've got electric playmakers. I think yes, they slipped up. They definitely slipped up during the season, and that starts to make you question, their outlook. But A&M didn't beat anyone this year, so I think Miami's going to win. I'm actually shocked it's 3.5. I mean, it opened 5.5, and I was like, I guarantee you that line will not stay there. I'm shocked it has not gone under 3. So I just want to put it out there. I could totally be missing something. A&M could run away with this game. Beck could throw 3 picks. I look like an idiot, but I'm going to stick to my guns and believe in the U.
Hey, that's why we pick this. That's why we do this, man. This is why we cover college football. This is why we cover sports. So this is what we do. Hey, it's your pick, man. You pick. And you're bold. And that's what I like about you. You're bold. You're bold with Miami. So that's good. 3.5-point favorites. I'm with you. I'm kind of shocked that it was a little bit like, okay, open up at 5.5. I always thought it was going to be 3.5, and it just stayed. You know what I mean? Just the line just stayed there. Like it wasn't going to move. And if it did move, it'd move in favor of Miami. But I didn't think it would be that high. I mean, I think it's a little bit too high for me. I mean, for Miami and A&M, you got to win the line of scrimmage battle. Who's going to out-physical one another? If you're A&M and Miami, obviously create explosive plays because both of them have playmakers. You have with Casey Concepcion at Texas A&M, and you have Malachi Toney at Miami, and they're a bunch of animals on offense, man. So create explosive plays with them, and then the key for me for A&M is you got to force turnovers, like you said, with Carson Beck. I mean, yeah, he has shown to be he's been turnover prone. I mean, he was turnover prone against Louisville, and I know that's an early game. That's back in October or whatever, but force some turnovers. Make Carson Beck of 2024 come out, pretty much. So if you do that, you got to win there. And then, obviously, if you're Miami, you can contain Marcel Reed. I think they got the two edge rushers to do it with Bain and Masador. So if they do that, I mean, you should be fine in that game. Who do I have winning the game? Man, Miami's a really good football team. I think it's going to be very, very close. I think A&M does it. I think it's going to be close. I think because of the home field atmosphere, I think Miami and A&M's defense, rather, forces just 1 or 2 turnovers that swings A&M's direction, and A&M wins close. Very close. But A&M wins. I think it's going to be a cover. I think they cover. I mean, or slightly, not even cover. 3-point win. I mean, 24-21. I think I can see it going that way. A&M 24, Miami 21. I just think that A&M's going to force enough turnover, at least 1 or 2 turnovers to win the game. I think that. So A&M
that's
wins,
fair.
they get the win.
That's fair. Yeah, that's
it's scary.
Fair. I'm pumped up, though. I'm excited. I'm ready to hop off, pack my bags, and fly to Norman right now. The playoff is good stuff, man. It is, like, for as much as the complaint about who should have gotten in, should the G5s be in, should we go to 16 teams, like, what we've got is fun. So I am ready for it.
Dude, I was going to even ask about what your final thoughts are, but you just gave them to me, man. You're pumped and you're excited. I'm glad about that, man.
Yes,
thank you for joining us. I appreciate it, dude. It was awesome. Preview predictions. That was our preview predictions. We only disagreed on one. It was just Miami and A&M. So we got everything else right. Hopefully we get our picks right, I guess. But that's all we got for today, guys. A big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some college ball coverage presented by me and Jack. Guys, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple. Just share around with others and follow on there as well. X and Instagram is at Pigskin_Frenzy. Follow, like the pages there. You're also going to get episode updates from college football and for Pigskin Frenzy. The website's www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. Guys, we're so thankful for you guys tuning in each and every week. All audio platforms, 6,300 listeners and counting, about to be at 6,400 listeners and counting. Channel views on YouTube going through the roof, man. 51,000 channel views so far. In the past 3 years, it's pretty big as we're just now keeping on growing and growing and growing. Not only that, man, I mean, we're so thankful that the Lord has blessed us with this because without him, we would not be in college football media. So we give him all the praise and give him all the glory for putting us in college football media and doing Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, we got to get Jack to go to Norman. Guys, we love you all. We're praying for you all. I'm Joel Norris. That's Jack Settleman. We will not be here next week. We will return December 30th because Merry Christmas, everybody. So with that being said, we wish you all Merry Christmas. Signing off. For everybody out there, please and always stay the course.